Bom, na live de hoje eu vou estar aqui reagindo ao mundial de Pokémon TCG em específico. Bom, mais uma vez tentando erguer a live, tá caindo bastante, viu? Tô vendo qual que é o problema que tá tendo. Bom, como esse atraso aí, né? Perdemos um pedacinho, eu acho que a gente perdeu a primeira batalha. Ou mais alguma, não sei. Eu entrei agora também. Mas antes de começar a live, eu te peço para que você deixe o like, se inscreva no canal e ative o sininho de notificações, pessoal, para que vocês não percam nenhum tipo de vídeo, live, shorts. Agora eu voltei, vou voltar a gravar vídeo, live, né? Tudo depende aí do preço. Então vamos lá, vamos começar.
That are also the ones we're looking at here. It looks like Gongo does have great times into those decks, so it's been a really popular pick here. Spaces often committed to.
Nossa, tudo isso.
As Tord kicks off going first.
Tord starting off with his signature.
Well, here's a little Breach play. It's getting more grinding.
Acho que a gente perdeu duas. Isso, a gente perdeu duas. E agora a gente tá no intervalo, mostrando as estatísticas.
I'm actually very surprised by a sub 5% of Marnie's Grimsnarl EX. It was very popular at the NAIC. It did get a top 8 placement from Piper as well, so it had a really good run at the tournament. Had a lot of day 2s, a lot of top 16 placements as well. I think the metagame position of Grimsnarl is the reason why it's dipped down so much, with Golden Go being a new threat.
Yeah, and with it being a challenging matchup, and with a lot of people weirdly teching for it through the recovery of damage, whether it's Monkey Dory or Picnic Basket, these kinds of cards that work across multiple decks, whether it's against Dragapult or Gardevoir. If you include more of those in your Golden Goes and your Raging Bolts, it's going to make it harder for Marnie's Grimmsnarl to continue. And I think it's also one of those decks that people have learned how to play against it. And as time has gone on, more and more people are aware of how to beat it. And so consequently it has fallen out of favour with those top players, as they know the quality of opposition here will be able to dismantle.
Yeah, it gets caught in a couple of those crossfires. The fact that Picnic Baskets are showing up in Golden Goes, the fact that it can be a tech inclusion to be a wide spread of these spreading damage matchups, but then also having more one-hit KO in the format with the likes of Golden Go, Raging Bolt being the other one-hit KO option. Then also the fact that Maractus is often a weapon in Grimmsnarl, the fact that that showed up in the straight Dragapult builds, meant that by
a gente perdeu duas
batalhas. You can be a consistent performer over and over again. These players have both been consistent and
bom, também vai ter amanhã, tá, pessoal?
With the likes of Golden Go.
Eu não sei se eu consigo gravar amanhã a live, mas eu vou tentar.
Yeah, I do really like the choice, and I actually think, surprisingly, other than Raging Bolt, I think it is the best Jewel Seeker deck in the game that we have right now. It is definitely an unorthodox deck in that it plays very few actual draw supporters. You're really reliant on your use of Noctowl. I think that Power being new on down your Fan Rotom as well as your Noctowl, and when you're so tethered to that ability, the fact that you can be shut down immediately is risky. In our main meta decks, and Flareon's not popular enough to tech against, nor is Raging Bolt really, to be honest with you, especially when Raging Bolt has enough draw power outside of that fact that you can still find stadium bounces. There's a clear runway for the Flareon, and I feel like it's 4.4 brave soldiers out there percent are going to be running this deck, hoping to dodge that 13% of Gardevoir. I don't think that's that tough. I like its matchups in other situations here.
Yeah, and strong into the Golden Go. But Mr. Bernard, we have seen how the decks are panning out there across the room, but we got to see our round 1 earlier, Tord Reklev coming out on top against Fabrizio. Round 2 will be coming later on. Definitely stick around to catch all the action. We've not just got round 1 and round 2 throughout the day. We've got 8 rounds today, so you'll get plenty of action on stream. And make sure you stick around, because you will be able to get access to some drops just by watching along to the stream.
Yep, just having it on in the background and just come back as soon as you start hearing the game. We're not going to judge you for it, because there is lots of things you can earn on Twitch. This is, of course, where all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the best players of Pokemon battling it out and trying to make themselves a champion. And look at what's on offer here, Mike.
Yeah, I love those accessories. Always nice to be able to put your own little spin on the game. And I think it's also nice it shows you're there watching along in the World Championship, and you can come across other people who also showing off they were watching the World Championship, as this is the pinnacle of Pokemon TCG, and if you're playing the game, you want to show that you're a part of that community, as well as those amazing artwork rares for the Hydreigon EX line. I do really like that Xylos. I like the way it's very symmetrical. I think this is one of my new favorite concepts in cards, is having very symmetrical cards obviously with the two heads, it makes a lot of sense right there. But how epic is that Hydreigon EX artwork?
Goodness. I haven't yet found a deck to make this card work, but I really want to, because look how terrifying that artwork is. Absolutely phenomenal scenes. And also, if you're just picking up those trainer points or trade credits, that's what's going to help you build any deck that you see out here on the tables. If there's something that's inspired you throughout the weekend, now you can take these credits for yourself, start building your own deck, and get involved in the TCG. It's a fantastic time to be playing Pokemon. It means after the World Championships, we're starting again with a brand new season. So there is a fantastic opportunity for you to watch the best players in the world, take on some tips from these players, and start playing yourself.
Well, we know a lot of you guys like to collect as well, and there is a special illustration rare package now that you can redeem. And look at all of these artworks, some of them very competitive as well. And I think this is a great way to celebrate the World Championship here in Anaheim. That Hilda will be going straight into your Dragon Ball deck. We saw them in both decks in our round one, so a great little card to include.
WCS25 TCGL is the code you need. Redeemable now, picking up your Hilda, your N, getting that Electros line as well. We might even see some electric action. That Dynamotor has been in the format previously in the black and white era, and it's been reimagined again this time around, allowing you to grab energy from your discard pile and attach them. So why not bling out your deck with the best artwork possible?
Well, what a treat for you all at home. Not only getting to see all the best action, but loads of goodies for you to receive too. And I mean, we're excited to see how the matchups pan out. I think one of the key messages from this last little moment is talking about the meta share. We haven't spoken about all those decks that aren't in the top 6, and they're the ones that are going to be interesting to see. If someone has managed to solve that unusual archetype that can come to this tournament and take it to the top, it's something that is hard to do, but we saw it last year. A low percentage deck managed to win the whole thing. It's not impossible for that to happen.
Russell's the boogeyman this year. It's the Iron Thorns of last year, I think, for a number of players. Even things like Joltit Box has an outside chance, Ethan's Typhlosion. Picking up in popularity, at least in the online scene, where players are just playing for fun and testing and getting their reps in before Worlds. These archetypes may not have shown up in the sort of day one meta share, but there could be one or two pilots who have cracked the code and made a great list.
What about Charizard EX? We haven't even mentioned it, coming out of Obsidian Flames, and has been a mainstay throughout its time in the format in lots of different ways. One of the best users of the Pidgeot EX, and also a great user of Dust Noir. It'll be interesting to see how people combine it together. Sometimes can be a little bit too slow in our current format, where there's a lot of spread around, so people can avoid ramping up the damage of the Charizard. It has a strong matchup into the most popular deck in the room of Golden Go, so could position itself nicely against God of War and that Golden Go, but it is worried about Dragapult in between.
It has so much heritage behind it. People know that it's a phenomenal archetype and has been for seasons, not just months. Also, any encouragement gained from the NAIC, of course, it won the seniors division, and certainly a player that we have our eyes on in that age division as well.
Teve duas partidas que infelizmente a gente perdeu, mas logo já a gente começa com mais partidas. Se eu não me engano, a gente disse 6 horas de live. A gente perdeu 1 hora.
It's weird to often see it this way around, but a senior player inspiring many masters.
Eu vou mostrar um pedacinho pra vocês. Aqui mostra. Isso aqui é muito interessante, tá? Enquanto tá no intervalo não tem problema. Isso aqui é muito interessante. Que é os competidores e os decks de cada um. Isso é da hora.
Sylveon or...
Well, as you can see, it's a challenge.
Aqui os prêmios para primeiro, segundo, terceiro, quarto lugar. Aí aqui tem mas de resto só foi isso mesmo.
Multiple games.
Grand So I think the World Championship is literally the only thing I haven't won. So that's like the last thing I need to collect for my trophy case.
An attack that is ever going to be going in your favor, but Dragapult has...
Eu vou tentar ativar as
lacking those
legendas.
3Ps as he did in game number 1, and really try and Maurizio's list brilliantly at the World Championships.
Mas enquanto isso...
Victory.
Well, if any of you at home know a player who we haven't spoken about and you think they're doing well, make sure to let us know, because we want to be keeping an eye out for all the best players. And with round 1 kind of wrapping up, make sure you check out how your friends, how your favourite players are doing at the tournament, and we'll be back for round 2 in just a bit.
Opa. 5 minutos para a próxima batalha, pessoal.
Make sure you catch all the action.
Bom, pessoal, infelizmente eu não consegui ativar a legenda.
Capture all the battles.
Só tem mesmo legenda em inglês. Se vocês quiserem inglês, eu coloco pra vocês.
Gear up for glory.
Mas também como é TCG, mas de boa. Se quiser no microfone, deixa eu ver. Verdade, tem campeonato de United, esqueci. Tá tendo de Pokémon GO, deixa eu confirmar aqui. Ó, tá tendo de Pokémon GO, do TCG, né, que a gente tá assistindo.
LEIC to EUIC, NAIC to here. We've traveled the world together. Trainers, fans, and champions in the making.
Eu não sei se é do
Now it all
Switch.
comes down to this. The
Talvez
stage
tenha.
is set, the battles will be fierce.
Tô muito ansioso. O que eu mais gosto é o TCG.
Welcome to Worlds. It's gonna be legendary.
Ó, pessoal, fiquem aí, eu já volto, tá? Rapidinho.
Whether you're a long-time fan or just getting started, there's never been a better time to jump into the Pokémon trading card game. With thousands of cards, endless deck possibilities, and an evolving competitive meta, there's always something new to experience. If you're new, following the action is easier than ever. Here's what you need to know. Each game starts with a coin flip to decide who plays first. Both players shuffle their decks, draw 7 cards, and must begin with at least one basic they find one. Each player also sets aside 6 prize cards, which are drawn when knocking out an opponent's Pokémon. The active spot is where battles happen. A Pokémon stays there until it retreats, gets switched out, or is knocked out. Damage is tracked using dice, usually in multiples of 10. Special conditions, such as poisoned, burned, or asleep, can be lingering effects that last longer than a single turn. On the bench, Pokémon can't attack, but they're still in play. There are 4 kinds of trainer cards: Item, Supporter, Stadium, and Pokémon Tool. Each one brings unique effects to the game, adding new twists and strategies to every match. To win, a player must draw all 6 prize cards by knocking out opposing Pokémon, but that's not the only way. Strategies and surprises.
Anything can happen in the Pokémon TCG.
sure.
If you're ever unsure, just listen to our expert casters. They'll
Agora
break
tá
it all
explicando
down.
as regras.
No ancient card yet. There's 2. The pair will be discarded now.
Eu só sei porque a qualidade piorou.
Taking 4 prize cards in
Ah,
one
beleza.
turn.
Just gonna conclude that Earthen
Esse deck é muito bom.
Plus, our on-screen
Muito bom
graphics
mesmo.
are there to help you follow the action every step of the way. Stick around to dive deeper into the world of Pokémon TCG.
Agora vai ser o round 2. Eu só não sei se o chat ficou muito grande. Ô pessoal, atrapalha aí pra as cartas ou algo assim do tipo. Se caso atrapalhar, só me avisou. 30 segundos pro próximo round. Beleza. Vamos ver o que a gente perdeu.
Wow, what a phenomenal start to the World Championship in Anaheim we've had. An opening ceremony with amazing music, the vibes are great, but ultimately the Pokemon is going to be showing us exactly why we're all here. A great round 1 featuring Dragapult EX. Everyone finding their way to their round 2 seats, and we'll be looking to kick things off and climb the ladder all the way to the top to be the world champion for 2025. My name is Mike, and I'm joined by the expert himself, Joe Bernard. I'm going to try and find a compliment every single time because it's great listening to Joe explain everything that's going on. How did you find that first round?
Still impressive stuff there. Position, and that's what it's all about, to be honest with you. Trying to squeak out extra percentages every single turn is what's going to make you win over and over again. And we know that that's something that Tord Reklev does very frequently every tournament.
And familiarity. It's always great to know a deck inside and out. And what we can tell with this tournament is many of our top players throughout the season are picking archetypes that they've piloted at many other tournaments. And I think that's going to be clear going into our next game, as Gardevoir users will be very familiar with some of our players playing Gardevoir at this tournament.
Yeah.
But of course, it's always interesting with archetypes like Gardevoir, like Dragapult, is see how those top players adapt, being one step ahead of everyone else.
Especially with Black Bolt and White Flare introducing a potential new Stage 1 line into the Gardevoir EX. Again, it's a debate, to be honest with you. It wasn't guaranteed to go into the deck list, but the new Frillish has essentially the same attack as Budgie for 1 Psychic Energy, and it also has more hit points and more retreat costs, which sound like a bad thing, but actually good when it means you can recycle damage with your Psychic Energy attachments with Psychic Embrace on Gardevoir. You retreat out, suddenly you have great damage with Adrenabrain for your Monkey Dory. It means that it's a more annoying Pokemon to knock out, and of course it can evolve into a Jellicent EX.
Yeah, our third most popular deck here at the event. Going to be looking to adapt and overcome the changed meta thanks to that Genesect EX elevating Golden Go to the top. Another card that we haven't really spoken about much is Air Balloon, that is featuring in that top deck, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of it. But for you, how important is that for them going into these early rounds where they're going to be the most nervous?
Yeah, taking away those nerves is obviously a great thing. The better you're going to perform if you are confident and comfortable. And it means that your mental energy isn't so focused on, is this even the right thing that I'm doing right now? Like, no one's going to be out there doing that. I think even if you're picking up a deck, players have had a month since the NAIC over that. So they've had weeks and weeks to really nail down hundreds plus games, I think. You have to expect it with the caliber of competition that we have out there. Everyone's going to put a lot of time in. Maybe there's been some late jump ships or a few changes within decks over the last couple of days based on the metagaming and the discussions among players. But I think the general player in the room is going to be really experienced, because you have to at least back yourself to put yourself in the best position to win every game with your deck. You never want to be head slapping yourself for being like, why did I do that this turn? Or like, especially when we get later on in the day, it's an exhausting run when we're up against so many fantastic players. Like every single round is a gauntlet for you. You really have to be on your A game, and the best way to do that is by being familiar with your pick.
What about familiarity with opponents? Because this is something that, you know, you go to your regionals and you're very familiar with the top players within it, but then suddenly up against someone you've never seen before. You're not familiar with their deck choices, you're not familiar with the way they play, how they tend to build their decks differently. Does that influence the confidence people are going to have?
I think it influences the confidence. It also influences lines of play that you can think of, because especially when you're facing a name that you may not know from a different region, you almost expect them to have more wild tech cards within their range of possibility within their as well as you would know your own region. So maybe they have this random tech card that you hope to try and play around, but then push comes to shove and you're so far behind and your back's against the wall that you'll try something, and then you can get caught off guard with a random tech. That's the great thing about having closed deck lists. We don't know what we have to play against. We're normally playing against a range of 70 cards, even though your opponent only plays a 60-card deck. I think that's always happening at these tables in the early rounds.
Well, for those players whose reputation do precede them, we'll be seeing how some of those are matching up going into their next round. Because yes, there's those players you're familiar with within your region, but there's players further afield who you'll be confident knowing the kind of decks they're going to go for. And you can see some of those matchups here. That top matchup going to be our stream game for the rest of them. Looking some interesting matches going on.
Wow, all sorts of talent on show here. Seeing Nathan and Alessandro is one of the most interesting rounds. Whenever you see Alessandro, you know that he's playing his own concoction of crazy cards, usually not trying to win a traditional prize race, usually attempting to create an awkward board position for your opponent to overcome. Nathan Beck, a very consistent performer at the top level. Seeing Daniel Magna, a name we've already highlighted, up against Vincent Owen, two very consistent performers there as well. Alex Szymanski and Brian DeVry, also a fantastic matchup that we'd love to keep an eye on. But there's so many to pick from, and as fate would have it, we have the rematch of the NAIC finals, Isaiah and Riley. We couldn't say no to that one, Mike.
Yeah, we're going to see two players very familiar with themselves and very familiar with the types of plays and decks they're going to be up against. And I think when we talk about the NAIC finals, what were the decks these guys were playing?
They were playing Gardevoir back then, and it was that really intricate mirror match. I think Riley gained acclaim not just for making it to the finals, but the manner in which he made it to the finals, having to defeat Tord Reklev with a very bold passing play in those final ticking turns of time. So Riley really made a name for themselves, and again, at the World Championships, having to face Isaiah once more, trying to get that redemption arc in his favor.
Well, we're seeing 3 of our top 4 players from NAIC in our first 2 rounds, as third place Tord Reklev was just on stream. So you're getting a real trip down memory lane. Just a few months back, we got to see these players in action, and they are in their most peak form right now. Not a huge amounts of changes for both these players, as they will be competing with the same archetypes. But you have that question around what sort of changes have they made based off of the Black Bolt and White Flare.
Just come off a tournament run where you did exceptionally well with 160, and you know that you've put a lot of reps in with that deck and have become a master within your archetype. But not only that, the exact inclusions change the percentages of every single turn that you go into. So making any change, be it a tech card or a completely different build within your deck, also changes basically every matchup that you approach.
Well, the key at every event is what's Gardevoir bringing? What's the options available? There's so many great Psychic-type Pokemon that can be used, and many of them synergizing perfectly with Gardevoir. We're talking about Screamtail and Drifloon, which work synergistically with the damage attachment combination from Psychic Embrace. But now we've got that Jellicent EX and the Frillish to talk about. We also have the Lily's Clefairy, which recently introduced in Journeys Together, allowing you to knock out that Dragapult, which is one of the reasons why Gardevoir is so good, is one of the most popular decks in the format, can be countered through weakness, where every other deck cannot do that.
It almost swung a matchup in a lot of ways. Before the Lily's Clefairy, the Gardevoir into Dragapult was pretty close, but now the Clefairy provides that Psychic-type weakness into a Dragapult EX. It really made the matchup much more appealing on the Gardevoir side of things, and these players are masters of that archetype. It wouldn't surprise me if they're both bringing it today.
Well, hopefully these matches you can see right now, will go the way you want. I'm sure many of you supporting different players throughout from all sorts of different regions. And I know many of them will be looking to make it all the way. That early victory, a great way to settle the nerves as you go into the World Championship. You're starting on the right foot, but still all those players who've sustained a loss or a tie early on, definitely not out of it, as there is a long day ahead of Swiss rounds. 8 rounds today for these players to compete in. So this early stage is just a quick break ahead for many of these players.
Yeah, the World Championships are very reminiscent of the International Championship events, where it's a 2-phase competition. Players with enough match points will progress from phase 1 into phase 2, where we'll have additional Swiss rounds, and then we'll head into
a long day ahead of Swiss rounds. 8 as we've got at this event, 721 masters, about 3/4 of what we had last year, maybe a little bit less, maybe more like 2/3. Can't do the maths right now in my head, but what the significance of that is the density of quality in these players has definitely gone up, and you're going to see that in every one of our stream games. We try and cherry pick the best players. In this occasion, we are cherry picking the literal North American International final that we witnessed just a few months back, and we'll be getting to see how the run back happens today. But it's only round 2, and many more great matchups ahead.
Our players are at the table, which means we're very soon to getting into our round 2 action. A couple of familiar faces. If you're watching the North American International Championships finals, it's somehow a repeat. It's destiny between these two players. Riley looking to trump his opponent after getting a loss at the NAIC. There's still a huge amount of pressure, even though it's round 2 of the tournament. And these two also know the intricacies of the other player, their sort of idiosyncrasies and how they change up their decision making. That might be a factor heading into this matchup.
Well, Isaiah Bradner was unfortunately tarnished with the story of being the player who'd never quite won. But he's changed that story now and becoming known for his incredible deck building ability. Talk to us why that works so well with Gardevoir EX in the format.
Well, Gardevoir, just like Dragon Ball, is an options toolbox. You have all sorts of flexibility here with how you like to attack, whether it's with the chunky Gardevoir EX itself, whether it's with some of your tech attacking Pokemon. UEX can copy all sorts. Monkey Dory can get in the mix as an attacking threat, as well as a fantastic ability that you're trying to power up the entire time. Bradner just wants options, and this deck...
We mentioned it, New Orleans was where they last faced off. There's an opportunity to get one step closer to that $50,000 on offer for the champion in Anaheim, but also some great results around that, and you can see some for Riley in the seniors division.
Yeah, great to see aging up. Both players had strong careers in the lower age divisions, and it's... And you'll also note that there's Jellicent EX alongside Gardevoir in Isaiah's list, so it's going to be slightly different builds from what we saw at the NAIC. Wonder how that's going to play out in this matchup.
Yeah, an interesting inclusion for sure, and I think one that many touted as not required, many thinking it wasn't a great addition to the deck, but Isaiah, and I'm sure many of his testing team, have concluded that it is a great addition, and we'll be using it here at the event as we kick off our round 2 between Isaiah and Riley. Great opportunity for them to get the run back, but both of them getting a chance to adapt their lists and overcome the challenges they faced previously in a new format. Not much change for Gardevoir, still the same consistency engine, same counts of all the trainers, but there's going to be a few inclusions in this matchup that could come into play when it comes to the mirror match.
I did just want to quickly highlight something as well, Mike, is that we get the benefit of looking at deck lists, and when players submit deck lists, there's a little box in the corner that they can add a comment, and Isaiah's chosen to do so, and he's written, "Playing for history."
Wow.
That is a statement. Isaiah is here to win, coming off a victory of the largest NAIC we've ever seen. Certainly one of the players who always makes it to the top table. He knows that he has destiny on his side. He's hoping to go one further at the World Championships. Riley standing in his way one more time.
Well, Riley definitely going to have confidence off the back of NAIC. And a performance that has given them a name in the scene, and 2 Monkey Dory on that side, but the secret box, the A-Spec You can only play one ace spec in your deck, and there it is in the prize card for Isaiah.
That's going to make the likes of Arvin a far worse option for Isaiah in the opening few turns, because the secret box is an enabler for all sorts. It allows you to have discard synergy for your psychic energy, which is vital for any God of War EX player. But at the same time, it grants you access to all sorts of cards. A tool, a supporter, a stadium, and an item allows you to fix basically. The box could be problematic. For Riley, the couple Monkey Dory, there are 4 copies within his deck, so he still will have access to a couple of them, but the more the merrier with this Pokemon.
Yeah, I remember when 2 was a stretch for Monkey Dory as an inclusion, and then it went to 3, and now 4 seems to be close to the norm. 3 or 4 monkeys are available as these players kick things off in round 2. Riley kicking things off.
See the draw for turn, and he's also leading out with a Fluttermane here. That Midnight Fluttering ability, shutting down abilities in the active position for the opponent when the Fluttermane is in the active position. You also see a turn 1 Nest Ball here, so Riley immediately going to look through the deck, check out his prize cards, the couple Monkey Dory probably being the biggest alarm bell for him. He's also going to be able to have access to an early roll, so not already in his hand. The deck really gets ticking, Mike, when you start a couple of things in the deck. Firstly, you want to find access to your God of War EX. The Psychic Embrace is the lifeblood of the deck, which means you also need to start discarding Psychic Energy as you go. As you tick along, searching through to get your stage 2s developed, to get your prominent attackers set up, you also want to be pitching these Psychic Energy so that you can access them whenever you like via your God of War EX.
Well, that route's going down, and just a continued deck check here, confirming all those cards. And I think what's interesting with that Fluttermane in the active, it was a card that when it came out was popular as an inclusion to disrupt in the active. But since then, other disruption options like Budu have become more popular. Why are we seeing Fluttermane come back into this God of War deck?
There's a few reasons. Obviously, the Midnight Fluttering can frustrate a few opponents. There are some crucial abilities that you would like to shut down. Golden Go might be one of those, and there's some acknowledgement there. You can try and shut down even a Genesect. Shutting that down in the right instance would be devastating for a Golden Go EX player. But of course, the Hexel also helps against evolution strategies when you're facing these other, especially with Monkey Dory, and the 90 damage to the active plus 2 counter placement is so flexible in the deck that it can allow you to have the strategy of TM devolution, and I think both players are opting to have it within their deck list. So the Fluttermane is a really versatile option.
Yeah, and some people mentioning Klefki as a great option to include, as it shuts down the abilities of all basics, but it also shuts down your own basics, like your Monkey Dory, whereas that Fluttermane only shutting down the active, but it shuts down all Pokemon in the active, which is a great opportunity to deny opportunities. And one of those would, in fact, be the Jellicent, and that would deny that as an option, as well as lots of great gusting options. You can gust things up like Latias EX. Treat. Fluttermane is a way to gain back a turn into those decks which might struggle otherwise. So high-level plays will be opened up for Riley throughout the tournament with that inclusion, but getting that fundamental Ralts down on the first turn, as well as a Monkey Dory with a Dark Energy attached, setting up that Monkey Dory battle that you like to see of as many Dark Energies as possible. And it's thanks to that Artisan, which unfortunately has been provided to Isaiah in return.
Yeah, that's actually a big deal for Isaiah, because it may instruct his use of supporter. If he had access to the likes of Arvin and a different supporter, now he can gain access to Artisan and realize that, oh, Secret Box is in the prize card, so I won't go that direction, I'll go somewhere else. And as we know, Isaiah is always diligent at checking out those prize cards, so he's going to be doing that quite routinely here.
Actually had an Artisan in hand, so it wasn't as a disruptive a scenario as possible to hold that Artisan, but I think that's the key with Artisan. Many people are worried about giving away information to your opponent or giving them the opportunity to place their own non-rule box Pokemon down, but a lot of the time, if you set up, you're confident your deck is going to win. And this occasion, Riley, confident that if he gets that Monkey Dory and the Ralts down on that first turn, that's going to put him in the best position to set up a game-winning board.
Oftentimes it is going to be a case of whoever has more Monkey Dory with more Darkness Energy attached is typically going to be in a better board position, to be honest with you. Grants access to more healing, as well as just more access to taking out crucial threats. So keeping up on the Dark Energy attachments for the turn, in addition to the Psychic Embrace attachments, is going to be one of the things we have to follow during this game. We see the Frillish come down straight away from Isaiah. No energy attachment whatsoever, but it is threatening the potential to Oceanic Bloom and evolve up into a Jellicent EX as well. Item lock is really important in this matchup, Mike, because these are rare candy-based stage 2s.
Was interesting because you look on the other side and there was 3 Dark Energy in that opening hand, which is great in many scenarios, but it also means there's not those Psychic Energies to discard, and I had to discard a Dark Energy and go for that Mew EX because that hand is so poor at this stage. As well as the Bravery Charm and Dark Energy in hand will be just looking to draw out of this with that restart ability.
And even just seeing the Frillish straight away means there's more urgency around this, Mike. There could have been situations where Riley was happy to just arson out another Ralts and just hold the Ultra Ball Pheasantipity as an option. But in this case, seeing a Frillish knowing that you could lose access to items means we have to go a little bit faster. We're going to Bravery Charm up our Mew EX here and see a fresh 3 cards. It's Ultra Ball double Psychic. Is that right? Looks like a pretty good hand, to be honest. You want to start pitching these energy while you can. You could grab a Curlier immediately here. Going down to 0 cards in hand, but your Mew EX is looking a lot safer thanks to the Bravery Charm.
There we go, the Curlier.
Yeah, right. Also access to the Artisan, so you have the backup Ralts, just in case your opponent gets really fruity with early gusting plays. There have been Boss's Orders. Of course, Isaiah chose to play a single copy of Boss's Orders in his NAIC list. There's also always the threat of Screamtail that can access the bench, so getting multiple targets on the board developed is important. Actually retreating out of Fluttermane here to go into Mew, into the pass.
Wow, well, Isaiah didn't do much on that first turn. Set up all the Pokemon, but no supporter was used, no energy was attached. So you're going to be pretty confident that that hand isn't doing much. Even if there's a Gardevoir in there, it's not much use because you need to start discarding those energy. And without a supporter, without energy cards, there's probably not much in the way Isaiah can do here unless a top deck allows for a fresh set of cards, either through the Iono or Research, which is so key. That's going to be a pass there back to Riley, who's looking to race ahead now with that restart, drawing 2 cards straight away.
Couple item cards. Looks like there's Iono in the hand. That would give your opponent access to a fresh 6. Could be a big risk here. But you won't have any draw power from Mew next turn because you've got clogged up with items yourself. Can use Night Stretch and maybe develop another Monkey Dory if you would like. Not much else you can do here though. Both players kind of on fumes. It's going to be a fresh 6 from Riley here. So both players have the sigh of relief of seeing access to new cards. It does mean that Riley has the priority this turn. He could begin launching meaningful attacks. But it is still a big relief for Isaiah here.
Yeah, with that Night Stretcher being such a powerful resource in the deck, only 2 copies in Riley's deck, and with 4 Research, which is going to be your frequent way to dig through the deck, you're often going to be discarding vital resources as you go, and if a knockout happens on an important attacker, you want to be able to return that back into your hand. So Riley opting to keep that rather than utilize it on this occasion for the Dark Energy.
Ultra Ball means Gardevoir EX will be established this turn for Riley, who's slow-volved up to find this stage 2, and there are a few Psychic already in the discard pile for him. I'm not sure if he quite has access enough to launch a Hex Hurl option. Also eyeing up potentially Screamtail from the Artisan here. You could try and take out a Frillish or a Ralts if you would like. There's always a bit of cat and mouse going on in this matchup where a lot of your low hit point Pokemon self-damage, and that could open the door for Adrenabrain from your opponent to punish you. So trying to still make meaningful math happen without over-damaging these Pokemon is still really vital.
With that Artisan in play for the rest of the game, both players playing Artisan, no way to bump it. It will just be accessible to be able to put any of your non-rule box Pokemon into play at any given moment. So something like a Screamtail, you don't need to worry about getting it down early, you just get it down when you need it. And that's a very powerful position to be in. I'm just looking to set up that Monkey Dory, and we'll be able to move the damage across and take the knockout on the Ralts. And that's a great position to be in.
We're flinging 1 damage counter over with the Adrenabrain. Then we're going to finish off the Ralts via the Mind Bend. We are taking the first prize of the game here. But we are putting our Monkey Dory in a vulnerable position. You've just given Isaiah a fresh 6 cards, so even though he's had a few slow turns, that may no longer be the case. And we really, you know, with a couple prize Monkey Dory especially, the fact that you could be losing one with a Dark Energy is a risk here, Mike. There was the option of Screamtail, but Riley chose to go this direction instead, keeping his board space for more options.
Yeah, playing the 4 Monkey Dory, 4 Dark Energy, very much leaning into the Monkey Dory, but you can see there that hand not ideal, no way to discard the energy. Does have 2 Gardevoir there, and Ionoing them back to the bottom of the deck. That is not going to make it easy to get a Gardevoir out this turn, so we likely will just see an Oceanic Gloom from the Frillish to try and slow down Riley.
It does set up a potential TM Evolution if that's found as well, which is taken off the top. Now you could evolve into Curlier and TM Evolution up into a Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, that's going to be an option. Then at that point, you're giving Riley so much time, and is it more important to just get the Gardevoir going? This is a really tough position Isaiah's found himself in. No energy discarded at this point too. So going to be really looking to stabilize and come back from behind.
No Oceanic Gloom isn't doing much in the way of damage because there's already Adrenabrain developed. We're going to quickly tap the Artisan here to gain access to an additional basic Pokemon. The game plan is quite different for a build with Frillish and Jellicent EX because you're still trying to work towards a TM Devolution play at times, but also the Jellicent EX can deny lots of items during the game. Counter Catcher being a vital one, Rare Candy being a vital one, meaning that if you take out one Gardevoir, 1 Ralts on the bench isn't sufficient. It has to be a Curlier already developed. And of course, there's still the mini game of more Monkey Dory is better, and that's why Isaiah now is going to Artisan for a second one.
Yeah, had the challenge there of trying to establish another Gardevoir line, but by putting 2 vulnerable Pokemon in play, I think that earlier in the Frillish, it could potentially lead to some issues, but having the Monkey Dories available there would be ideal in future turns to set up those Dark Energy. But without 1 attachment this turn, it feels like that Monkey Dory is just now on the bench without an option available. So yeah, I think really tough decision for Isaiah here.
With no backup Ralts, I was pretty certain to see the TM Evolution. It means we can get Gardevoir EX and access to our Jellicent EX as well on the bench now.
Yeah.
Its ability is only active when its self is in the active position, but it does shut down the use of items and tool cards. Very disruptive option in the deck. Power Press is a decent attack. It can reach 160 damage if there are 4 or more energy attached to the Jellicent, and that can happen all in the turn with Gardevoir, but Isaiah has really lacked any access to Darkness Energy. He's had to manually attach the Psychic so far and has none in his discard pile. He's still working from behind right now.
Yeah, and you wonder how much that Jellicent in combination with TM Devolution could work in this matchup. Right. And I think Riley will have to be thinking about that now, of stabilizing the Curlier and then the Gardevoir later on to put yourself in a strong position, as that Jellicent would shut down the Rare Candy route back up to a Gardevoir. And the secret box available to Riley, still in the prize cards for Isaiah, will be able to get out lots of important cards at this stage.
Yep, it's a great card to use Arven for, especially when you can grab a TM Evolution just for fodder here for your 3 discard requirement. There's another one in the hand as well. Riley can easily discard these and have access to all sorts here. Crucially, supporter cards at this stage could be vital. Even getting access to Earthen Vessel and getting more energy thrown around. And get access to another Monkey Dory, that could be huge. That final board space, we saw Riley hesitant to put a Screamtail down on the previous turn to keep his bench space open.
Well, that first decision of the secret box is, I am going to get the Professor's Research. That is the easy decision here. Now I've got to work out the stabilizers and getting more Psychic Energy discarded, as well as that Artisan that you can just get out of the deck and try and make it as consistent as possible in case of disruption, because that is the typical way a Gardevoir comes back in many matchups, is to use the Iono to disrupt and put your opponent behind and skip a few turns ahead. And if you can thin out all of these cards you don't need, you can make it more likely that you're Iono-proofed.
Yeah.
And without the draw engine on board, like many decks do have, Gardevoir will typically rely on a setup board that cannot be disrupted.
Mm-hmm. And in this instance, it will be Artisan here after the Earthen Vessel. There's already Darkness Energy in hand, so I wouldn't mind another Monkey Dory hitting the board here. And then the question becomes, does Riley want to protect this active Monkey Dory and go into a Hex Hurl option? I feel like that does make a lot of sense here. You're throwing more damage counters around the board. There has lacked access to energy so far, and Riley's also seeing an additional 7 cards here, so a really good turn, even before he's played his supporter. TM Evolution thrown onto Gardevoir EX just as an option, but it's rarely going to be used here, I think. Let's see the retreat into the Gardevoir EX, also a decent attacker. The damage is immediately being thrown back onto Gardevoir, or perhaps are we going to see a TM Evolution continue to go slowly here? Wow. Riley has the option to research next turn, get a bunch of energy in the discard pile, Yeah, maybe we are going slower here. Just going to throw a couple damage that we put onto Gardevoir EX onto Isaiah's Frillish, and we're just going to evolve up into Curlier. This is recognition, Mike, that we are afraid of TM Devolution, and we're respecting the item lock potential of a Jellicent EX.
Yeah, and with the double Monkey Dory in play, being able to move damage back is definitely on the card. So if you get attacked into by Isaiah, into that Gardevoir X in the active spot, you're in a very strong position to be able to send that straight back and get even further ahead. So you're almost, you're asking to be attacked at this. That's the key to a lot of these decks like Gardevoir. They don't want to get too far ahead because that's not really where they work their best. They often like getting a little bit behind. They want to give away that counter catcher option that many of the Gardevoir decks do play.
Isaiah finally having a turn that you like to see. Researching away a couple Psychic Energy, now can Earthen Vessel to access more Psychic in addition to a Darkness Energy, so he can start to try and keep up on this Monkey Dory race. I wonder if he's going to start trying to pivot out of this Frillish this turn, as an Earthen Vessel does discard a Psychic Energy here. One interesting intricacy here is that the Frillish with the 3 retreat cost does have to damage itself quite heavily if it wants to retreat. And it's only a 2-1 line of Jellicent EX right now, so if you want to get into attack with that Pokemon, start setting up with Power Press. Dory. Could set up more prizes for Riley later down the line, but no doubt we're going to attack now for Isaiah. There's the option to just going to stick with the Oceanic Gloom and holding the option of Adrenabrain as well, knowing that if you put it anywhere, your opponent already has 2 to play with, so keep it on the Frillish where you know where it is, rather than give Riley the option to put it anywhere he wants.
An interesting research plus 2 Psychic Energy was sat in that hand, and Isaiah was fully aware of that as it came off the Secret Box and Earthen Vessel previously played. But understanding the item lock after that could be key here. And this is the intricacy of the matchup. That Jellicent, we're seeing it being prioritized by Isaiah, recognizing how powerful that option is. And this is where the difference comes between these two decks. They are both playing Gardevoir, but that ability to use Jellicent is a massive difference. And the key to that is the Monkey Dory, which you see on the bench. And the damage has been moved across from those 2 Monkey Dories. It's why they're so important. The abilities have been used for both of them. And a new Monkey Dory promoted and will be a target for that Gardevoir, putting Riley in a great position ahead by 3 prize cards.
Riley with an amazing board position. 2 Gardevoir EX, now going 3 a back foot position, no doubt. Only access to 1 Monkey Dory right now. He still has work trying to get more Psychic Energy in the discard pile. This Ultra Ball is going to help out, though. Potentially another Monkey Dory. There's also Artisan that can grab it for free as well. As they're still going to prioritize the Ultra Ball in this case. This is where we start seeing the Jellicent EX. It's in the active, so Oceanic Curse is live. It means that Riley, as long as this Jellicent EX is in the active position, won't be able to use item cards or tool cards from his hand, and that is still quite disruptive, although Riley has set up his board before all of this lock. Second Dark Energy now coming for Isaiah, and it is going to be a Professor's Research, getting a fresh 7 cards here. He's finally starting to get into this game, it looks like, Mike, but it has taken a few prize cards to get here.
Yeah, the double Gardevoir X in play makes it hard for Isaiah to break down Riley's board. And the Jellicent, yes, it's disruptive, but at this later stage, everything is on board for Gardevoir. You've got the ability built in to your attacker. You've got the options with the Monkey Dories with the 2 Dark Energy. The only thing Riley is lacking is Gust options. You don't typically see Boss's Orders in Gardevoir EX now. It's very much leaning into those counter catchers. Both of our players on stream right now playing 2 counter catchers, but that will not be accessible for Riley as he's going to likely stay ahead for the rest of this game. And so the Jellicent plus Disruption combination, the Monkey Dory sprinkling damage around, very powerful, but is it going to be enough to come back into this game?
There with 6 damage to play with. Let's stick it. It's like just on the active Gardevoir EX here. And then the Power Press is just going to deal 80 damage, not going for the full 160 that it can do. He's going to set up some decent numbers even after a couple of Adrenabrain next turn. Isaiah does still have access to potentially some sneaky plays. With a 3rd Monkey Dory set up next turn, you could still triple Adrenabrain, the other Gardevoir EX that's on the bench for Riley, and then Devo them both all in the turn. That's even if Riley heals the active Gardevoir twice with his Adrenabrain. So Isaiah is still lining up a really strong play here. All he needs next turn is Darkness Energy and Counter Catcher, provided Riley can't target anything but the active position for Isaiah. And that's likely because he's currently locked out of tools and item cards and doesn't play Boss's Orders. And there's no space for Screamtail either. So I actually think Isaiah is setting himself up for a crazy board swing next turn.
Yeah, it's a really intricate end game whenever there's a devolution involved. You see it a lot in Grimmsnarl, able to set up these boards where everything is in range of a devolution. But Gardevoir typically is comfortable with the idea of getting devolved because your attacker remains on board, you can set up a new attacker, but on this occasion, it looks like the active Gardevoir will be healing that damage off all the way down to 8, which would just put it just out of range.
Actually. Yeah. So the math didn't quite line up perfectly for Isaiah to make the double Devo next turn. We're just going to be announcing an attack here. Miracle Force back into this Jellicent EX. It has the chunky 270 hit points, so it is holding on right now. And Riley content with the double Adrenabrain board position. 8 damage counters on the active. Potential for 3 Adrenabrain here. It could be that we're trying to power press through this Gardevoir this turn. But then you're relieving that item lock as well if it goes down. It would put Riley just to 1 prize card remaining. He should be able to find an easy route to close the game there, even via Screamtail. So things are getting tough for Isaiah now. That 10 damage off a phenomenal line of play.
Yeah, it's the challenge with the TM devolution is finding that damage at the right point throughout the game, and it's just not been possible for Isaiah because missed out on a few early attachments, and that could have been the difference maker, just having another Monkey Dory ability to use. And when you're facing off against another player who's got 2 Monkey Dory, anything you put in play is likely to come straight back at you.
Yeah.
And maybe even just looking at Riley's board, that 1 damage he opted not to move across earlier could have been the difference maker. So some great high-level plays, but also recognition to Isaiah to spotting out these unusual lines that are incredibly tough to navigate. I think we can now look back at that Riley turn with the TM evolution and really appreciate how key that was to setting up a stable board with double Gardevoir.
It's a nice find from Isaiah, grabbing an Earthen Vessel, so we'll be able to manually attach a Darkness Energy here. Now he's at maximum monkey potential here. He plays 3 Monkey Dory in this build. He's had to concede some space for the Jellicent line. It means he can start throwing damage counters around at will. Does he have access to any counter catcher here? I still feel like targeting Monkey Dories is okay for a turn. If he can continue to set up damage whilst taking out a Monkey Dory, it limits Riley's options. Riley on a quad monkey build, but of course there's still, I think, at least 1 in the prize cards. There is still 1 in the prizes.
Well, there's also 2 Dark in the discard and both Night Stretcher, I believe. So this could be a great opportunity to remove the Monkey Dory. But as you mentioned, is there enough time? Riley just looking to navigate through 2 more knockouts, most likely. 3 prize cards remaining, but a Jellicent EX or a Gardevoir knockout would be a great position. There is even that TM devolution for Riley to think about, to remove the Gardevoir EX from play. And that would make it really hard for the Monkey Dories on Isaiah's side to be useful. And you can just see the complexity of this matchup now with the Jellicent EX. It completely changes the way that you navigate the board. You have a lot more of these slower turns where you're focusing on spreading the damage while slowing down the opponent.
It's clear that the devolution is still in Isaiah's mind, targeting all 9 damage counters onto this Gardevoir EX via the Monkey Dory. But does this active Jellicent just have to punch into Gardevoir here? You can see a 4th energy commitment. That does open up Power Press to deal 160 damage. Still great setup here. And that is going to be it. We're just going to be piling on damage into this Gardevoir EX here.
Wow, and you can see the turns following will be so key for Isaiah. Does have the ability to use devolution, even if the Jellicent gets knocked out. And if you're the player with the Gardevoir EX in play and your opponent has none available, you'll be able to continually swing for future turns, potentially even locking out Ralts as they get benched. So very much playing from behind, Isaiah recognizing there is a line with the Jellicent. And this is something he does so well. You see it frequently in these high-pressure matches, navigating unusual routes to victory, coming from behind. And now Riley has to really start thinking about that damage that is threatening the Gardevoirs with the devolution.
Riley's trying to tot up some math here to see what to retreat into. A lot of the options in his hand are not live. Still, the Oceanic Curse is denying his roots. So Riley going to have to settle for 3 fresh cards from Iono here, whilst also disrupting Isaiah. The Psych Energy found is actually a pretty decent draw, because he is lacking some energy. There's only 1 in the discard pile, I believe, Psychic-wise right now. So he has granted himself access to attack with something else here. It's going to be the Fluttermane receiving a Psychic for the turn attachment. Then we're pivoting out of our Gardevoir EX. Lining up a Hex Hurl. It would be enough to KO the Gelatin TX, of course, before even thinking about your Adrenabrains. It also sets up a different attacker that can at least put pressure on the opponent, even if there were to be a devolution strategy employed by Isaiah next turn. It's not a super threatening attacker. It's not something like a Scream Tail that your opponent's almost forced to respect. But it is still creeping you closer towards winning the game. Of course, Riley only requires 1 prize card to close out the game after taking out this Jellicent this turn.
You can just see the damage being moved. But just to try and remove the damage from play and not leave it on the board for Isaiah, and just sprinkling 1 across 2 Pokemon, making over onto that Gardevoir EX, which was healed earlier, and 1 prize card remaining for Riley, 6 for Isaiah. If he manages to pull this off, it will be one of the greatest comebacks of this event, and we're only in round 2. I can almost guarantee you that, as we see the devolution is in hand. What's the plan?
Don't see an Iono to go alongside it. That would make life a little easier for him. Does he have access to Pheasantipity EX himself here to come into play? When your opponent only has 1 prize card remaining, the liability of that 2 prize Pokemon is really gone. We'll start seeing energy being flung around by Isaiah. It's going to be the Arven choice here as a supporter.
Well, he has the advantage that Riley kind of Iono'd himself last turn and only got 3 cards. Does have the Mew EX in play, so the difference between an Iono and the Mew EX draw from a current Iono would be much the same. But it really is going to be getting rid of those options, and that Fluttermane will remain in play, but not a huge knockout a Monkey Dory. So Riley really going to have to find a way around it, and with the Gardevoir EX being in the active spot doing the devolution, this is going to be a fascinating turn to watch.
Isaiah picked the Super Rod out from the Arven here as his supporter. Is he trying to weave back in a Frillish after the fact of a devolution? Gardevoir are damaged enough to be put in range after a couple of Adrenabrains here. And he only has to dodge Hex Hurl, 2 damage on the benched Monkey Dory, in addition to, well, it would be Monkey Dory plus 3rd Dark Energy that he'd have to be dodging next turn. Or a Scream Tail. Well, yeah, Scream Tail can't come out when there's both Gardevoir EX being taken off the board. Right, Isaiah only vulnerable to the 2 damage counters of Hex Hurl to close the game on a Monkey Dory.
Well, if any damage is left in play as well, you've got to be really removed. Got to be really careful, because damage could be moved back across in combination with the Fluttermane, and the advantage of those Monkey Dories, 110 HP, is quite hefty to be able to sprinkle damage across, and any damage you sprinkle across is coming straight back at you, and this is going to be the setup here. 3 damage moved across twice onto that Gardevoir. You see the last bit of damage moved across. Doesn't want to leave anything in play for Riley. Is going to be using a TM devolution, and now Riley has no way to power up any attackers as Curliers both get knocked out. 2 prize cards to Isaiah, and a hill to climb to finish off this 6 prize comeback.
And it looks like the prizes still favor Riley so much, but you have to bear in mind that Isaiah can undo a bunch of the damage that Riley tries to come up with next turn. All of it can be flung straight back with the 3 Adrenabrain that Isaiah's built towards. It's really down for Riley to try and develop double Rolts again and see if that can get him any closer. Although Isaiah, with the access to Frillish on the next turn, he could be denying Rare Candy for the remainder of the game. It really could be Riley stuck with Fluttermane to attack with and just these Monkey Dory abilities. And Isaiah may be safe enough. It feels like Riley has to try and target down just one thing as much as he can. But even then, the damage is going to be wiped over and over again here.
We've alluded to Counter Catcher being the only Gust option in Gardevoir. Now Riley's on 1 prize card remaining, will never be able to use a Counter Catcher. Meanwhile, Isaiah has full access to that for the rest of the game. And so that will mean anything put in play is almost locked out of being played, as Both players have thinned their decks pretty well, so the options will be accessible fairly confidently as we see the TM Devolution on Riley's side. A card we'll see in many of these Gardevoir lists throughout the weekend. But on this occasion, how are you going to get that Gardevoir in range of a TM Devolution on any turn? It might be the best way to win this, but you're going to have to relentlessly produce damage on that active Gardevoir to even think about doing it.
And just grabbing one Rolt seems relatively futile. You know that Isaiah could still sculpt a way to just target this down with the Monkey Dory as well. You've got to kind of have them in pairs to make any dent here. We're holding on to Rare Candy Gardevoir EX and Super Rod for Riley, but can't expect to keep the hand for the first hurdle. And also you can't really expect that Monkey Dories won't just target down this Pokemon. Maybe even manually attaching to Mew EX at this point is an option for genome hacking. Slow building towards a different attacking threat.
So much to navigate here. Going to be a really interesting end to this first game between our NAIC finalists. Riley and Isaiah faced off just a few months ago to compete for that $25,000 at NAIC. Now they're doing it again to get one step closer to the World Champion final, as damage is spread around by Riley, and
it's just the Monkey Dories. It's no Hex Hurl.
Just a pass.
Yeah, you want Isaiah to be forced to generate his own damage here.
Important to note with that Flutter Mane in the active, the Gardevoir EX cannot Psychic Embrace this turn, and that will create an interesting scenario. The counter catcher we mentioned has been used to bring up a Monkey Dory, taking away that Adrenabrain. There was an energy in the discard pile there attached, thanks to the Monkey Dory now being in the active spot. More damage added on, and you can just see Isaiah trying to close out this game now, and it's going to be a movement of that energy, that damage across with the Monkey Dories that can finish off the routes that just got put in play too.
Here comes Secret Box as well, the A-Spec found from Isaiah's first couple prize cards. And it's actually, I think that's a concession from Riley. Isaiah having a huge comeback here. A big TM Devolution play has brought him the win, but despite a massive prize deficit.
One prize card remained for Riley when there was 6 still for Isaiah, and he found the route to victory. Devolution on the Gardevoir, set it up. I'm sure many of you watching at home were watching that thinking, Isaiah, you're crazy. There's no way back into this matchup. But it was that Jellicent that disrupted enough, created a big target, and allowed for the Devolution to come through. 3 Monkey Dory in play versus the 2. The battle was won, and Isaiah takes game 1 here in round 2.
Such impressive stuff. We got to see his new tech Pokemon in action as well. The Frillish and Jellicent EX both put in a decent amount of work there. The Oceanic Curse is such a powerful ability, shutting down the options from Riley. It denied his access to rods and stretchers at times in that mid-game. And also Isaiah did a great job of keeping the board locked, you know, not allowing access to Screamtail, not allowing access to any additional Monkey Dory, keeping that Mew and that Flutter Mane on the board, which weren't that threatening when he was eventually able to build these Monkey Dory into the mix.
Well, Riley really has the advantage in the Monkey Dory matchup by playing 4 with the 4 Darkness Energy, but it was in that moment where board locked with just the 2 in play, it allowed Isaiah to build up to a point where he had the 3 Monkey Dory, 3 Dark Energy, and was moving the damage across, ready to finish the game. An incredible performance there, and one I'm sure many of you didn't expect to see happen in those early turns. And that is the beauty of Gardevoir. It has always been a deck that can come back from pretty much anywhere, having so many options, whether it's high damage output, disruption, or attacking things on the bench. It tends to find a way, and it's through these early turns of stabilization that we see it build to that moment. And a great first turn for Isaiah. A Dark Energy and a Monkey Dory and a Routes in play.
Yeah, simple but effective turn. Isaiah just making sure he's checking his final outs whilst passing it over to Riley, whose turn it is, and kicks off their turn with an Arven. They have access to the trademark Secret Box A-Spec, which is found in addition to one of the TM Evolution. There was also the other in hand anyway. There's already the Earthen Vessel plus Psychic, so we can start throwing away a bunch of energy early here. This is exactly what you want to see as Riley. A game down. Only 16 minutes remain on the clock here, but at least he's getting into the second game with a really solid opener.
And I think this is the key early on, is the Dark Energy
finding that as early as possible. It's a great attacker for your TM evolution too. Having a Monkey Dory in the active, it is 110 HP, a little bit tankier, so it can sponge any early hits with, say, something like the Budu and many other matchups, or in this occasion, the Oceanic Gleam of the Frillish. And it also allows you to start having those manual attachments be Dark Energy rather than having to use a Psych Engine. You can see exactly that there. The TM evolution, the Artisan comes down. That secret box just so good at setting up the board early on.
Riley making no secret of what this box is actually trying to do. It's trying to accomplish a nice TM evolution, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Double Curlier established, holding on to Professor's research for next turn. Oh, it's one Curlier being found here. The other must be in the hand then, because it's not in the prize cards right now. It's the Mew EX and the Screen Tail in the prizes. That means the other stage one must be in the hand, but still a really reasonable turn.
I mean, it can't really get much better than that going second. Yep. A Dark Engine, a Monkey Dory, a Curlier in play with the TM evolution. You've got the Gardevoir in hand.
Gardevoir and Curlier. It would only make sense, to be honest.
That hand looks great for next turn too, so we'll see how Isaiah can stabilize. I think now we're looking at these boards and thinking, well, at any moment, Isaiah could find himself ahead in the game, even though he's behind on the prize card race, because this is a very powerful way to dismantle the board. TM Devolution, the enemy of Stage 2 decks, so much so we saw some decks playing Mist Energy purely to deny TM Devolution, and on this occasion, we will not see it in either of these decks. Doesn't really fit in the Gardevoir so well, but it will mean players have to get double Gardevoir set up as much as possible to try and avoid that scenario we saw last game where Riley had no way to get energy in play.
Isaiah has a pretty good hand after the INO. He's able to quickly Artisan before anything else as well, so can get an additional basic down. It's going to be another Monkey Dory spied, but has to be happy evolving up into a Gardevoir EX in addition to the Jellicent EX in much faster fashion than he did in that first game.
I think we saw the TM Evolution get the Jellicent in play last game, and it's something that many of us forget about the Jellicent build, is you have that extra TM Evolution. Typically, you only need to evolve one routes up. Sometimes you'll get two if you've got the access to both the Curlier, but having that kind of extra evolution available to you, it really allows that Jellicent to get into play consistently, where it's only a one-of in the deck and it's hard to find.
Yeah, it's still reliable just by virtue of this tool card. Riley continuing to throw away a ton of energy, and exactly what you want to see. Instantly artisaning out a Monkey Dory as well. He's playing fast. He knows the assignment. With only 13 minutes remaining on the clock, he has to make these decisions quickly and start trying to take as many prize cards as possible. He doesn't have the luxury to think too much about these decisions. He just has to make any decision quickly here, because he has to start churning through prizes if he wants to get anything done and recover a tie here.
And for players in these high-pressure matches, how must they feel when they're so close to victory, one prize card away, and have to watch their opponent dismantle their board prize by prize like we saw with Isaiah? It must hit you hard when that moment happens.
And that's part of the mental fortitude of players like this who have got to the World Championships. Riley getting to a finals of an internationals means you have to have incredible mental fortitude to overcome bad fortune at different times, and also just bad beats in other moments. There is going to be 3 energy flung onto the Flutter main now. Hexhurl likely just going to be, well, we're targeting down the benched Monkey Dory with one of our Adrenabrain. Are we going to be taking out the active as well with these final 3 damage counters?
Falta 12 minutos pro segundo
It's going down to the 1 there, wanting to keep damage available.
Bom, por enquanto a vitória.
And not wanting to take a knockout, interestingly.
We're seeing just how much damage we removed from the Flutter main here. There's 1 damage counter remaining on it.
Yeah, they're just making sure.
Yeah, just confirming how much they were healing. So we were putting 2 counters onto the active Monkey Dory, putting it down to the 90 for a Hexhurl knockout. And Riley's done exactly what we've mentioned. He has to start taking these prize cards.
And it's so important when you start trying to play faster to get those games in, making sure you do things properly and don't misplay with the damage movement, the energy attachments, and all these kinds of things. So Riley's going to have a real challenge here in what can be quite a slow matchup. We saw it last game. It can really slow down, especially with Jellicent, and it can really affect the ability of your deck to perform in those speedy games. As the Earthen Vessel comes through for Isaiah, and we'll be looking to get the energy in the discard pile as well as those darkness energy attacks to the Monkey Dory and start moving damage across.
Yeah, can't forget that Monkey Dory upkeep every single turn. If you can get a Darkness Energy attached to it, your board is only ever getting stronger, especially when Riley set up 5 damage counters onto this Monkey Dory. It forces you to Adrenabrain off the Monkey Dory rather than any of your other Psychic Pokemon. You really don't want that to get knocked out for free by a couple of Adrenabrain next turn from Riley.
I'm going to be getting that Arven in play. A key card came out in Obsidian Flames, and early on was very powerful thanks to some of the tools in the Sword and Shield era, like Forest Sealstone, but has increasingly got more powerful in recent times thanks to TM Evolution being such a key part of every engine.
Yeah, TM Evolution just got more and more value as we start to see Budu creep into decks in the format. Means you still have great access to these Stage 2 Pokemon that are too good to not play in a number of these decks. The Secret Box here discarding another Psych Energy, also grabbing Isaiah the Bravery Charm, Night Stretcher, Iono, and we'll just grab another Artisan out the deck for free as he does it with no real plans around it. It's already in play and it's going to stay in play all game, but you never want to draw back into this card, so you may as well fling it to the bottom with an Iono here.
Yeah, the Secret Box, an A-spec that was underrated at first and has only become increasingly more popular, especially in these evolving decks, as it allows you to get those stadiums like Artisan to get more basics out, but it also allows you to discard, and so key in this deck, to discard those Psychic Energies. And with a bit of contingency with things like 2 TM Evolutions, you often don't feel too bad taking a Secret Box and a TM Evolution with the Arven, as it just gets you everything you need for the turn and sets you up for a board state of confidence going into the next. And that is exactly what's happened here. Thins out some bad cards, thins out some good cards, and gives you the ultimate turn going forward.
Bravery Charm onto Monkey Dory means that you can actually fling more damage off this board. It means that the Power Press was already knocking out the Flutter Mane, but essentially you're just evaporating more damage from this Jellicent TX, trying to allow it to stick on this board this little bit more reliably here. And Isaiah's going to level up the prize race here in this game number 2. The clock whittling down as well. It's all looking very promising for Isaiah here. Riley, though, does have access to another Dark Energy Monkey Dory. That's immediately slammed into play. We're also going to have a quick scout of his own discard pile here that Isaiah was checking out. It's going to be the Psychic Embrace, Attach Retreat. Generate some damage counters for him to play with. Gets his Gardevoir EX in the mix. Just like that game number 1, Riley's now been able to establish double Gardevoir EX, even though he's under item and tool lock. Pretty impressive stuff.
Different this time, though. Those 3 Monkey Dory in play, which was significantly a factor for Isaiah, having 3 himself, able to push more damage back and create a winning state. So Riley recognizing that and using it to his advantage on this occasion.
Pushing the Jellicent EX into knockout range with the Miracle Force, whilst also healing up your own attacker. Isaiah, who tried to utilize the item lock so effectively to set up a TM Devolution play on the previous game, may not have that option. And Riley is creeping closer to getting into a safe range of prizes as we get into the turns of time as well here.
And you can see Riley really trying to force the victory quickly. Last time we thought the same thing, and he got down to 1 prize card remaining, and Isaiah was able to come back. But I think the stability of Riley's board this time, much safer.
Monkey Dory keeping the Gardevoir out of range of the Devolution.
That's no doubt one factor, but also keeping the board space open is also just another huge, crucial element here, is that he can burst a different attacking threat onto the board. He was kind of just left with nothing in those final few turns. Even putting down something like a Lily's Clefairy EX to play around TM Devolution at this stage feels like it could be really valuable, but always keeping that bench spot open. If he wants to get Screamtail in the mix, he can. Isaiah here using Night Stretcher to re-establish a Jellicent EX on the bench, and will once again try and disrupt Riley down. Isaiah has been capable and confident sitting with more prize cards remaining than his opponents throughout this entire set. Part of the reason why is trying to throw your opponent down to these low hand sizes, with Gardevoir EX being relatively engineless.
One interesting scenario here is with those 3 Monkey Dory, Gardevoir is able to knock out the Jellicent because of the 9 damage that can be moved across with the Monkey Dory and the 190 of the Gardevoir. You've actually got 10 spare damage in there to be able to knock out a Jellicent, where typically 270 HP without those Monkey Dories would be tanky enough to survive a few hits. So it's really now asking a lot of questions of Isaiah, and maybe having to use that Gardevoir EX to attack at some point. But getting down to 1 prize card will only increase the power of the disruption, which is going to be a key part of Isaiah's strategy here.
And if he's still thinking about devolution being the key to victory, he still doesn't have to fear the Scream Tail closing the game either. Because if you're taking both Gardevoir out of play regardless, it doesn't matter that much. The only thing is, with triple Monkey Dory developed from your opponent, it's not easy to sculpt the devolution play. You saw it took him a few turns to make it come together in the game number 1. EX being searched from Ultra Ball here from Isaiah, pitching yet another Psychic Energy in addition to a Professor's Research.
I think it's the Lily's Clefairy in the end. I don't think he wants to play it, just wants to get it out the hand, might even Ultra Ball again in the future. But that 4 energy, this is one of the huge advantages of Jellicent, being able to attach more energy and retreat it off. You mentioned it earlier on. Adding damage to your Pokemon is part of your game plan as Gardevoir. And on this occasion, the Monkey Dory will be looking to move damage across. Where's it coming from? Where's it going?
So many options that Isaiah has to consider. The Power Press dealing 160 now with 4 energy attached to the Jellicent EX. So having a couple of Adrenabrain, sending 3 on the benched Gardevoir EX as well as 3 onto the active. Pushing the Gardevoir itself down. Was it just 2 off of? Yeah, so leaving the active Gardevoir with 130 hit points remaining. And Screamtail's coming out for Riley. Looks like he wants to try and target down a Monkey Dory if he can.
Well, we're seeing the similar scenario to before of the Gardevoirs being damaged heavily. But on this occasion, the difference is that board state. The Monkey Dory is available, and that bench space you alluded to has now been occupied by Screamtail. Will be coming in to try and take out one of those Monkey Dories, take away those options, and also leave you with 2 prize cards remaining, so that active Jellicent can be the target of your final knockout. So the Screamtail, plus some damage from a Monkey Dory maneuver, will be taking Riley down to 2 prize cards, removing a Monkey Dory, and Isaiah has an even bigger hill to climb than last time.
You have to think he's in a fantastic position. Is there just 1 Psychic Energy in the discard pile right now? Trying to think if there's ever any Panic Frillish plays at this stage. If you can item lock, you can make it more difficult for a Gardevoir EX to retreat, and then you can still slow build up your own Monkey Dory army back again. Isaiah only had 1 card in the hand, so he didn't have to shuffle from the Iono. We'll get 5 fresh cards here. Riley just down to 2. And still closing in on this great board position. Jellicent EX is already item locking as well, don't forget. So has to try and find a counter catcher, I think, Isaiah here. There is one in the hand.
And the TM devolution for the future. I mean, from Riley's point of view, how must he be feeling right now? Because he must be looking at the board from last game and thinking, oh, I've won this. And now he's looking at a board where he's thinking, I've won this?
Yeah.
Have I got it this time? And Isaiah is trying to find a route through. And it's just so much more challenging.
Yeah, I know. This is a much more difficult board. We were waxing lyrical about how strong it was last time from Riley, but now there's no liability anywhere. It is going to be the counter catcher into Gardevoir EX. I believe there's only 1 Psychic Energy in the discard pile. So Isaiah is hoping that the time he can buy from the... Oh my goodness, look at the Iono. We got him Psychic Energy Professor's Research. That's the best thing Riley could hope for.
Well, that's the solution Isaiah came up with, and the answer is very much in Riley's hand. And that will be settling the nervous feeling he would have been having before, as that is the card solution, the 2-card solution of a Psychic Energy and a way to discard it. And he shows the Psychic Energy, and that is going to be the handshake. 2 minutes remain in this round. Not enough to conclude a game, so I think this will likely be a tie between our NAIC finalists. Riley last time wasn't able to conclude it. On this occasion, has brought it back to a tie. After a nail-biting game 1, Isaiah win.
Fantastic scenes there from Riley. The Monkey Dory's still putting in the work. It's something we said before the game, and it ever rings true. That Adrenabrain just gives you so much control over the board. And in this instance, there were no liabilities for Riley. The Fluttermane was dealt with. There was no Mew EX in play. That gave him the space to use the Screamtail at an opportune moment that puts him just 1 EX knockout away. And with that much Monkey Dory, it's hard for Isaiah to stop him.
And with a final game potentially happening here, both players wanting the win, but the valiant battle concluding in a single victory for Isaiah, a single victory for Riley. There is 2 minutes remaining for a game 3, so there is potential. I think both players are shuffling up right now while we're looking through these highlights. and you can see how much better it went for Riley this time. The 3 Monkey Dory was the key. When you're playing 4 Monkey Dory and 4 Dark Energy in the mirror, you really have to lean into that Adrena Brain power. It does so much for your deck, and at that moment, Isaiah said, let's have a little go, see if we can get a Game 3 out, and the only way this concludes is if either player struggles to get going.
See the fist bump. Isaiah going first here and is already sculpting some discards, so it's either an Ultra Ball or a Secret Box, you would imagine. Getting into game number 3 here. It is going to be an Ultra Ball, discarding a Professor's Research in addition to Super Rod. No time for that. Let's try and develop a Ralts and try and get a Rare Candy Gardevoir. I feel like that's one of the only ways you can try and close this game. Turn attachment to Frillish in the pass. Action over to Riley. Does have access to a Monkey Dory, Energy to Fluttermane. It's going to be a fresh 6 from Ino here. So at least a couple basic Pokemon down. If you can develop a few more, it's looking like we're edging towards a tie here.
Yeah, I think if either player is able to bench multiple Pokemon at this stage, it would just be too much to ask, as when the game reaches time, you can see down there ticking away. At that moment, the player whose turn it is will finish, and there will be 3 turns following it to see if either player can conclude a victory. And this is the final tournament where this will be the rules. It will be changing in the future, but an opportunity for these players to squeak out a final game potentially, as they both sort of show that they have the ability to get more Pokemon out. Will that mean they agree that this is going to be a tie? I think at this point it likely is.
Yeah.
And there we go. Our 2 players on our round 2 feature match tying with Gardevoir. A valiant comeback from Isaiah in game 1, followed by a stabilization from Riley, leading to a tie.
Really intricate gameplay there from 2 different builds of Gardevoir. Isaiah bringing the new era of Jellicent and Frillish, whereas Riley sticking with the quad Monkey Dory, quad Darkness Energy. And we saw the benefits of both during the set, which is so exciting to see here. And we were both scratching our heads on certain terms of where was the Adrena Brain damage going to go? How can you secure a board state as well as possible? Riley with great acknowledgement, even though he lost the game number 1, taking a turn to TM Evolution up to multiple stage 2s, still trying to establish as many Monkey Dory as possible to play around a devolution. Both players were having that cat and mouse throughout the entire set.
And how much is this Jellicent EX being an unknown factor, something that people haven't tested much against, haven't understood how the matchup can go, and even that devolution, something that's kind of been added in for this event. I think it's fair to say that Riley wasn't aware of how best to play it in that first game, and maybe even just starting the Fluttermane was the factor that led to a clogged up board, or having to put the Mew EX in play, and consequently those Monkey Dories were not able to pile onto the battlefield in droves.
Looking back at this round 2 then, here's how it played out. Riley came out the gate swinging with early access to Gardevoir EX. It took a while for Isaiah to get access to enough Psychic Energy to even start launching meaningful attacks. But what he was doing was setting up damage over multiple Gardevoir, over multiple turns, and this was the devastating flip, where it was a devolution, and Riley could see that with 3 Monkey Dory on the bench, Isaiah was going to undo any damage that Riley put on the board at that point.
And you're not mistaken. Riley had 1 prize card left, Isaiah had 4, and Riley chose to concede, and that's just thanks to Isaiah dismantling the board after taking those Gardevoir out, and Riley recognizing there was no route to victory. And in game 2, Riley didn't have to put the Mew EX in play, the Fluttermane was not down, and so 2 Gardevoir and 3 Monkey Dory were able to continually attack and take Riley to the victory, as Isaiah used the Jellicent multiple times, but unable to close out the victory with a devolution play. Very well played. And game 3, well, do we call it a game?
Well, not really a game, unfortunately. Both players recognizing that getting enough basic Pokemon down was the way to not lose within those final turns of time, especially when there's going to be the Oceanic Gloom slowing down any rare candy shenanigans from Gardevoir or anything like that. So it felt like both players knew at that point, when the time's called, that's the game for these decks. And that's one of the risks of taking Gardevoir. We know it's a powerful contender, but we know that it takes a while to get into these games. It's quite happy sitting back, setting up damage, as we saw in both of these sets, that Gardevoir has to try and churn through 2-0 victories or very long 1-0 victories to win best of 3 sets. So it's inevitable that every now and then you will take a tie. You kind of have to expect that with Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think we can safely say it's the most powerful deck in the format when it's set up. And I think when we saw it in those games, you could see the power of it, the ability to come back, the devolution now as an option available, and in the case of Isaiah, the Jellicent EX, a very powerful denier of items and tools whilst also spreading that damage around. So a fantastic showcase of Gardevoir, but unfortunately a tie for both players. And it's important to note, they really wanted to get that victory because a win here is so important.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Accumulating those match wins is vital for the World Championships. It's very little margin for error, and you know that the rounds don't get any easier. As your day goes on, you're going to face another phenomenal competitor. I mean, hitting off a NIC finals in round 2 is absurd. That's pushing it a little bit, but every opponent you face is going to be very skilled with their deck and come with some tricks up their sleeves as well. The Devolution's an interesting twist that's been picked up on more and more, not just only for the Jealous and EX builds, but that's been taken on from a number of players, even in straight builds of Gardevoir. Just an acceptance that there is going to be mirror matches, there's going to be Dragapult, there's going to be Grimmsnarl as well, which can be a really tricky matchup without the Devolution. 100%. So it feels like players are adapting, and there's been a strange cycle of Gardevoir where we've gone firstly just 1 Munkidori, then up to 2 or 3, then to 4 at times, even with Turbo Energize, and it feels like there's going to be a bit of a mix-up this weekend with the builds that players are bringing in.
Well, we've got 8 rounds of Swiss today, and we've just concluded round 2. We've got Swiss round 3 coming up a bit later on, but for now, let's take a little bit of a pause and come back for some more great action.
Three-time regional champion, a master at the Pokémon TCG, one of the, don't forget, an international champion.
Never count Andrew Hedrick out.
So I first started playing with Pokemon cards around when I was maybe 10 years old, but I didn't actually know the rules of the game until my dad kind of forced me to learn. I played in the junior division, the seniors division, but I wasn't super great until the COVID era. I played a lot online. My favorite first partner Pokemon is Cyndaquil. It was actually given to me in one of the Mystery Dungeon games, and it kind of stuck with me since then. It's my favorite. One thing that I've learned about myself through playing the game is that I have a good ability to handle pressure. I thought I would get nervous in big moments that have a lot on the line, but I've actually found that when the stakes are higher, I think I play even better. There was a point in the 2024 season, I kind of took a few months off of going to events, but I played some of the new format with a deck Dialga V-Star that most people had kind of written off. I had a lot of fun playing it on ladder, and then I brought it to the Indianapolis Regionals.
Dialga V-Star and Andrew Hedrick, absolutely phenomenal.
I brought the Dragapult EX Dusknoir deck to this tournament. This was a deck that one of my friends, Justin Templar, had been playing for a little bit longer than me, and he worked on the list a lot. And then I started playing it as well and brought it to the European International Championships. So I actually booked my flight to Vancouver after that tournament because the deck felt so good. I would say the person that's helped me get better and succeed the most is Caleb Rogerson. This tournament I got to play against him in top 4, and we both knew each other's list inside and out, and I was able to win a close 3-game set against him, but it was really fun. In the finals, I was able to kind of play my deck how I wanted to, especially game 3, I opened super good. I felt a little bit lucky for that. Right before the last turn, when he only had 2 Goldango EXs on his board and I was able to set up damage on both of them, I knew that he was going to be in a really tough spot to win the game.
Just like that, Andrew Hedrick makes the comeback and is now a 4-time regional champion.
Winning this tournament helped me qualify for Worlds. I don't just go to tournaments to try to qualify for Worlds. I go to each one with the goal of winning. The player I would like to face most at the World Championships would be Azul. We have played each other 2 times, and we both won one of the matches, so getting a 3rd match, trying to break the tie would be really exciting. I love competing at something, having the chance to win, doing my best, and putting it all out there. I think I've shown that I deserve to be taken seriously throughout my play at the regionals, internationals. I think I am a threat to win the World Championships.
I'm from France and my name is Thomas. This win means a lot for me, for representing France into international, because until now there is 0 French player qualified for Worlds, so it means a lot for my community. If I won the World Champion, it's big, it's amazing. So yeah, that will mean a lot, and I know that for every player will be really proud of him because he had such a difficult tournament from the beginning to the end.
I'm Alex Shmansky from the United States. It feels amazing to win UIC. It's really hard to articulate what this win means to me. Since I've gotten second so many times, I've never really felt the win, and all of a sudden I finally have won after a lot of years playing Pokemon. It's surreal. I never really doubted my strategy this weekend. I just expected things to happen that happened, and it worked out for me. Winning Worlds would be incredible. I spent a lot of time playing Pokemon, and for that to pay off at a World Championship would be amazing.
My name is Paul Chua, and I'm from the United States. Winning EUIC feels pretty good. It means a lot. I haven't been able to win an international ever. Like, the last time I ever made finals was in 2017, and I got second. So being able to finally get past second place feels pretty good. Winning Worlds would mean a lot. I'd be really happy. It's a dream I've been having since I ever started playing VGC. So if I ever became world champion, that would mean the world to me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the 2025 Pokemon World Championships here in beautiful Anaheim, California. I am Kyle Pukasukovic, and we have a little time between the rounds as we get paired up for Swiss round number 3. We can do a quick update from out here on the floor. Lots of excellent players in this tournament, of course. Some off to good starts. Tord Reklev, who we saw in round 1, did win round 2 as well and is off to a 2-0 start. We have Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi from Japan, also at a 2-0 start, and Henry Chow, one of our biggest winners of this season, starting off 2-0 as well. Last year's world champion, Fernando Cifuentes, off to a 1-1 start, but there's still a lot of time to go. There's so much going on out here at the top tables. We are still seeing kind of some familiar faces, decks you would expect, Dragapult EX, Gardevoir, and Golden Go EX, but keep your eye out for those Crustal decks. There are a couple at 2-0 so far. We're going to be keeping an eye on those as we go throughout the tournament. We do have Shelby and Kyle standing by. They're going to be our casters for the next match. How you two doing?
I'll tell you what, Kyle, we're definitely some Crustal fans here, huh, Kyle? Oh, we're doing great. We're ready to get into some matches. How is it out on the floor out there? I mean, that stage looks incredible.
I mean, it's buzzing out here. There's so many people. Everybody's excited. It's the first day of the World Championships. What more could you ask for?
I totally agree. I mean, we've already been through some crazy matches. It was like looking in a mirror at our former season here. As we come to this end at the World Championships. It is so hyped. Thank you so much for keeping us updated there, Kyle. We're going to let you go watch some matches out there as we take things over here on the desk for round 3, so appreciate it. Welcome here to the desk, Shelby Boo with Kyle Sablehouse. We're in Anaheim, California. The Alolan Executors, they're swaying. The sun, it's out. And our trainers are ready to battle for the glory, Kyle.
Oh yeah, we're finally here. It is the World Championships. It's gonna be round number 3 coming up, and it was pretty interesting to see our first 2 matches of the day. Some powerhouse names, and of course that rematch of the NAIC finals. Just what a spectacle to watch that, and we've got some amazing players coming up here as well, but I'm sure you're all expecting that as it's the World Championships.
Only the best of the best here in the Pokemon TCG, all coming together at once to give us some great gameplay. But yeah, I mean, they've traveled far and wide, Kyle, from all over the globe. We get so many regions here. They've come by plane, they've come by train. One guy, even a Rapidash. Just
I was thinking you were gonna say somebody like walked, like maybe they're a local.
Nope, rode in on that Rapidash. Telling you, I saw it with my own eyes.
That's pretty toasty.
Absolutely toasty. Yeah, hotter than a Charizard at a chili cook-off, Kyle.
Wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, well, I know you love chili, so.
It's pretty good.
But What are you excited for this weekend, Kyle, to get into things here?
There's so many different decks to think about. The numbers are all over the place. We see the Golden Goes finally reigning supreme.
Oh my
Who thought that the coin
God.
bonus was going to take over, but
So wild.
in this economy, you got to do what you got to do. Dragapult players, we've seen a bunch of mixes, some including very heavy lines of the Dusknoir, some going with a more linear version, playing a couple interesting tech cards there too, just either buying time or making your opponent mismanage those resources. So there's a lot of interesting plays to look forward to, and I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah, I like this format. There's a lot of like counter play. There's intricate decisions and tech Pokemon that we have all across these decks. So, and that's the best to watch when you're watching the best players in the world too, because them making those tiny decisions and us getting to watch it. I mean, even just thinking about Riley McKay made history making some decisions in that match that we saw. So yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see, but you know, the players are really what make these stories happen. And we have a lot of notable matches out there in the field. We can take a look at who's going to be facing off against each other in this round coming up. This is going to be our Swiss round 3.
Yeah, this is pretty great to see. Already moving through in this tournament and some amazing names here. Wow, really standing out to me, Daniel Magda versus Pablo Meza, and Aaron Curry versus Cameron Shinoy, Magnus Peterson and Grant Shed. Oh man, the list is just so great here to see.
I know, incredible here. It does not stop. I mean, wow, some of these names on here, that's, yeah, so surprising. And look at that, over repping the Philippines there, Juancho Saldana is on this list. Kyle, one of our coworkers and co-casters as well.
Yeah,
so cool.
He loves to bet on himself, and sure enough, he's got a chance to win the World Championship if he keeps on trucking. 2-0 so far, up against a Japanese player this time around. Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi is our featured match here this time. One of the 4 kings of Japan, and so great to see him competing at the highest level here this time around. This is going to be an absolute wild game.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we've already seen so many awesome matches so far, but I think this one could truly raise the bar here at the World Championships. And it feels like that every single match that we go into. We're only in round 3 here. Of course, it's great at these giant events. We get to start with round 1, go through all of these matches right alongside you, so you see the entire journey with us. But we're jumping into round 3, and it doesn't stop with the heat here. And we're going to have some incredible players in our next match and some awesome decks as well. So make sure you keep up with us in the stream chat. Let us know, what decks you're rooting for, which players you're rooting for, which, things that these players are doing that you're noticing on stream that's unique or that you want to call out, because, I'm sure a lot of our players watch back our streams too and see the love in the chat, and that is always awesome to see here on these streams. So many people supporting these players, and that's really the backbone of this.
Yeah, so much support for all of the different regions, all these players as well, and following your favorite decks too. We saw some mirror matches in our opening games. We will not have that this time around, so you can pick a side and see which one you actually enjoy watching more.
True, very true. We've got options now here. Swiss round 3 bringing options to the table in Anaheim. We're really excited for this. I mean, also just looking at the notable matchups too. Christian Labella there, somebody I have to shout out. I'm rooting for so heavily in the World Championships here. Has always been one of my favorite players. Hailing from Canada, of course, and has just been performing so well this season, and is such a young player still too. I feel like this season has truly shown how talented our younger Masters Division players are that have either newly aged up or have been, this is their first just absolute fire of a year that they're coming out swinging here in the Masters Division.
Yeah, Christian always gives himself a great opportunity as well, puts a lot of work in on his deck lists, and we've seen time and time again, he makes the right choices, and he puts himself in that top 16 contention at all the different regional events. And sure enough, now he's at 2-0 here, playing up against a Brazilian player this time. This is going to be pretty great for him to have a little more experience under his belt, playing on the world stage. Yes, he sees some of these players from other regions when he plays on the international level, but World Championships, you're going to see a lot more of that.
a lot more of that. That's the whole weekend here. You know, we love to see our most talented players. They have put so much effort into this entire season, and it's all coming down to this. Of course, we go through several different formats in the Pokemon TCG throughout the season. New sets come out, you know, every 3 months, and we get brand new cards that sometimes have either great or little effect on our meta. But it's always exciting to see what our players choose to do with those cards, which decks begin to come back from being ghosts of the past as well. And also the ones that always just seem to reign supreme. One of your favorites, huh, Kyle?
You want to get into that here?
I mean, if you want. I'm never ready for it, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Gardevoir cannot go anywhere. It's continues to be one of the best decks in the format. We saw what it's capable of in round number 2, a 6-1 comeback now with the help of the Jellicent, or you can just run this more consistent approach that we've seen, but I think it all just speaks to the power of Monkey Dory. That card is incredible. If you can take advantage of this, then surely you have an opportunity in just about any matchup.
I know, that little monkey is powering up so much, but just when we thought it couldn't get worse, the Jellicent has arrived, and we've already seen what a change it has made in that deck. Let's talk a little bit about Dragapult. Are there any major changes for Dragapult with the new cards we've seen from both Black Bolt and White Flare? You know, we got Jellicent, we got Genesect, we got Hilda. What do you think about, you know, how that has supported Dragapult and why so many people are still playing that deck here?
Yeah, it speaks to, once again, just being a good deck builder. If you have that opportunity to sit down and think about, well, what matchups are you going to really run into the Badoo? Is this something that you have to focus on? Are you more worried about a mirror match, or are you more worried about taking down a Golden Go player that can potentially knock you out with one giant swing? So you sit down and you start to think about, okay, well, I can go very heavy on the Buddy Poffin and maybe lean on Hilda to help me out, or I can move over to Brock Scouting and make sure that I have this answer for when I am potentially item locked by either this or Jellicent or what have you. So really curious to see what the players decide to go with these lines, as there's a bunch of different options. I think the skeleton of the 45 is pretty standard, and then it can go anywhere from there.
Yeah, and that's what we love to see here, a little bit of innovation. You know, it doesn't have to be anything too drastic. Even just those small decisions that these players make worlds of difference here at the World Championships. Well, you know, we're so happy that you're watching this stream with us, that, you know, we're able to take you through these incredible matches, but we want to just reward you a little bit too. You can watch and earn things here from one of the breakout games, an incredible app that I definitely think you should get if you haven't already, TCG Pocket. Kyle, are you still opening digital packs there?
Yeah, this is something that my daughters have loved doing daily. They take all of my packs that I get to open. And,
I don't blame them.
So you got to go for it.
You got to go for it, yes. As you can see, you can earn these Twitch drops just by watching alongside with us and get them for your TCG Pocket accounts. So you can open some more packs, you know, flip some more cards, see what you get, test your luck there in TCG Pocket, and build your collections digitally, which is so cool. So much beautiful art in TCG Pocket that you can collect and bring up at any time you want, just at a touch of your fingertips. Such a cool app that has been introduced, and it's gotten so many people into the TCG as well. You know, they start playing in Pocket because there is, you know, a battle mode in TCG Pocket that is different from the trading card game, but it has converted so many players over to the trading card game as well. So it's just great all around.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's some quick and easy games, but it doesn't mean that you don't have that opportunity to show off what you're capable of, maybe outsmart your opponent in a few instances. It's
some coins.
It's a lot of fun, and you gotta avoid some of those coin flips, Celebi, all those things. There's some trickiness there. It's definitely got me to rage a few times, but it's also a lot of fun when it works your way.
Yeah,
and,
that's very true.
We've seen players, they've started to build on that. We've seen a lot of content coming from this, and it's even led to the World Championships here too, where we have side events where players are competing in great numbers to see who is the best over at Pocket Land.
Yeah, you love to see it. I mean, just broadening the horizons of this game is always a positive. I think so. But that's great to see. Of course, we're not just the only stream here. We're talking about Pocket. We're talking about TCG. We have other games going on here in Anaheim. Let's check out VG, Kyle. What's going over there with VG? They have some awesome things happening on their stream
as well, which we're really excited to get into. They've got some of their own drops for you.
Okay, yeah, look at this. You can find Lucas Sarabelli's World Champion winning Farigiraf there to help out your team and take down some people in the video game. It's always great to get some free Pokemon, especially some that are World Champion caliber. Sign me up.
And he's actually on stream apparently right now.
Oh,
too.
Well, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Turn on multiple streams.
Don't leave us. Just open another tab, okay? And you can watch everybody at the same time. The full Pokemon experience here. But yeah, absolutely. Make sure you get all of these perks here from watching the World Championships. It's just a small thank you to you following along with us, and we appreciate it so much.
Bom, pessoal,
of course, you know,
eu
the
sei
best thing we can provide
a
you
live
is
tem mais
Pokemon
duração,
action,
né,
of
Pokémon
course, and we're going to be
TCG
getting
do
in
dia 1,
very soon
mas
to our
infelizmente
Swiss
hoje eu vou ter
round
que parar por
3
aqui.
here.
Espero que vocês tenham gostado, tá?
World
Amanhã
Championships
também tem dia 2 e 3. Eu não vou conseguir gravar 100%. Tipo, o início até o fim, muito longo mesmo. Então, pra não ficar cansativo até pra vocês, eu peço para que vocês já deixem like, se inscrevam no canal, compartilham essa live, né? Para que chegue a mais pessoas e assim vamos chegar à nossa meta de 6 mil inscritos. Então, pessoal, espero que tenham gostado. Um abraço, até a próxima. Ah, e antes disso, né? Agradecer a todos que apareceram na live: Eric, Simão, Picolina X. Obrigado mesmo pela presença de vocês.
We work as a team, Kyle, of course, and we're always chatting with each other behind the scenes and then on the desk, but I really truly do not envy your position sometimes with having to analyze some of these plays and map out the math. I mean, you do it so well, Kyle, so I appreciate being your partner here on the stream. It's so exciting.
It's gonna be a blast. This is what we live for. It's such an exciting time here to see such great